Hello friends, welcome. And in this video, we'll be discussing the consequences of substance or drug abuse. At the outset, let us define what is substance or the drug abuse. See, the consumption of illegal substances or the drugs and excessive use or consumption of prescribed medicines and the alcohol. This is a very comprehensive definition. It contains the three aspects. The first one, the consumption of illegal substances or the drugs. Then the consumption of legal and prescribed medicines and excessive consumption of alcohol. Whereas the National Health Portal of India says that it is the harmful or hazardous use of psychoactive substances including alcohol and illicit drugs. By and large, it is the same thing, but they have used one word here, psychoactive. The drugs which have its impact directly on your thought process, on your memory or attention, concentration, etc. What are the consequences? It has four-way round impact. That is psychological one, physical one, social and financial / economic impact. The most disastrous effect of substance abuse is on the psychological domain, where individual feels the deficiency in the cognitive system. Deficiency means individual who are addicted to the various drugs, even alcohol, they face memory deficit. They face problem in concentrating on one aspect, attention related problems, perception related problems. They develop the hallucinations and illusions. It reduces the self-esteem of the drug addict. An interesting thing, it not only directly affects the drug addict, it have its psychological consequences on its family members, caregivers, relatives, friends. Means it has cascading effect, and that effect is not limited to the particular individual only. The individual faces behavioral abnormalities. What's a behavioral abnormalities? Means individual regularly diverts from the normal behavior, such as he or she become highly impulsive, highly active, that is hyperactive, regularly engage in such activities that jeopardize his or life of others, that is the absurd risk taking, the risk taking that is not even remotely related with the particular individual. Then psychopathic deviation, deviation from the normal behavior, normal activities and normal life is common among the drug addicts. The life become highly stressful because individual is always in the mode of procuring the drugs. From where the money will come? So individual always find himself in this vicious circle that leads to the stressful events. Individual falls in the depression, anxiety, and different type of mental disorders, including the phobic reactions. Conclusively, I can say that the total psychological domain is ruined by these drugs. Kindly avoid it. Then the physical consequences of this drug abuse. The lips are burnt. The individual attempts the suicide, which most probably culminates into death. And suicide ideation is a common thing among the drug addicts. The illicit substances and the drugs are such they create a dependency among the individual. Once that drug is consumed, that addict or the individual is forced to procure the larger quantity of that drug to have the same effect. Individuals find it difficult to respond to the various situations, various stimuli, which is technically known as response inhibition. Means drugs develops a kind of response inhibition. The tolerance level of the drug regularly increases because individual seeks the same effect, and the same effect is achieved only with the help of the increased quantity of the drug. At this moment of time, individual didn't get the desired dose, he manifests the withdrawal symptoms. You'll find bruises and the cut marks on the various parts of the body. The individual suffers from the visual scanning of the things. Means vision related issues also develop in the drug addicts. Along with that, the skin diseases, the sexual dysfunction, the sexually transmitted diseases such as the HIV, AIDS, hepatitis C, and other diseases are invited by the drug addicts. This means the addicted individual are more prone to infected by these diseases because the behavior is such that it attracts this such type of physical abnormalities which are life threatening. If a pregnant woman start taking these illicit drugs, it have determinantal and negative permanent effect on the fetus. This means the baby who has not yet come in this world also negatively impacted by these drugs. Individual loses sleep, appetite, the interest in other things. There is no social connection. Means totally disconnected from the reality. A study by Orr in 2020 said that the alcohol and the cannabis can raise the risk of premature heart disease in the youngsters. If youngsters continuously consume the cannabis and the alcohol, it has the potency to induce the heart related ailments. It initiates or increases the cell aging and neurocognitive decline of the individual. That is, the gray matter quantity is relatively decreased. If the gray matter, which is the vital part of the human brain, if that decreases, consequently the cognitive, the psychological and the physical aspect is negatively impacted by the drugs. Remember, dear friends, drugs ruins the life. Drugs shortens the distance between the birth and the death. It's a volunteer invitation to early death and painful death. Kindly avoid it. The drug addicts are found to have poor or almost nil interpersonal relations. They find it difficult to fulfill their social responsibilities, social obligations. Even they do not have any concern with their family members. They always found themselves trapped in the legal issues. Sometimes arrest, sometimes jail, sometimes interrogation by the law enforcement agencies, or sometimes they may be trapped by the international agencies. Means they find always in the shadow of legal issues. The family members of the such drug addicts always have anger, stress, depression, anxiety, and frustration because one of the prime members of their family, earning member of their family, youth of their family is a, the drug addicts are found to engage in various criminal activities because they need money to purchase the drugs, and if they didn't get the required money at the appropriate time, they may resort to any type of activities, even the murder even the crimes, and drop out from the educational or academic institutions. They are prone to sexual abuse, and they also indulge in sexual abuse of others. They are avoided by others. No one wants to have company of drug addict. Even family members sometimes cut their relation from that individual. They don't want to keep him in the family because it will have a negative impact on the other members too and the youngsters too. The family life is totally ruined. There is no family life for drug addicts, and even desertion by the spouse. And just have a glance to image of this poor old woman. Can you empathize with her? Can you feel the pain which is manifested on her face? Did she ever imagine in her life that her child will be ruined by the drug addiction? She was expecting some care when she will be in her twilight years. And dear friends, remember, if you are a drug addict, if someone in your family is a drug addict, on my next video, you'll find your mother's image here. Kindly avoid the drug addiction. It ruins you, your family, your society, and your nation. The financial and economic consequences. The first one, job loss. If you are in a job and comes under the addiction, the first thing is you will be kicked out from the job because you are going to spoil the environment. The drug addicts are the economic burden on the society, on the nation, on the governments. Because for that, governments has to open the de-addiction centers, provide the therapist, and it creates a kind of a financial and economic stress due to draining of resources of the families. The drug addicts even sell the utensils, even their clothes, even their belongings to finance their drugs. They do not have any kind of sympathy or empathy with the family members because they need their dose at any cost. So those who are their caregivers, the family members, they suffer this financial stress or the economic burden. The drug addicts induced poverty is transferred from family members to the children. Means there is a induced poverty by the drug addiction. Huge loss to government exchequer because government has to instill the security systems to prevent the smuggling of illicit drugs from various parts of the globe. And drugs are not cheap because they involve the top secret transmission from one place to another. So their cost is very high, which results in the faster draining of the financial resources, the high cost of treatment. If someone is drug addicted, it becomes very costly affair to treat that individual. Kindly avoid it. If you know someone in your family, in your society is addicted to the drugs, kindly take him as quickly as possible to the de-addiction center and try to get him or her cured. There are various treatments and intervention. The first one is the medication. Avoid self-medication. Always consult a physician before taking these drugs. Then family intervention therapy is given by the therapist, psychologist, and various caregivers who are engaged in such type of profession. Then learning better coping strategies also helps in treating the drug addicts. Lifestyle modification suggested by the psychologist. Change of peer group is a very important strategy because it has been found that the young people are prone to drug addiction due to the peer group. And finally, my dear friends, psychotherapies and yoga. Karo Yog, Raho Nirog. These are my references. If you want to deep dive into the consequences of the drug addiction, just refer them. If you love and like the contents and the presentation style of this video, tell to others. But if you have any question, query, or any critical comment to make, just drop a comment in my comment box, or you can email me at vamasujit@yahoo.com. And I am available in all these social networking websites. You can connect to me through these platforms. And never forget to watch our next discussion on the rehabilitation.